Wait for a couple of people to come in the room. Don't worry, come in. You can eat in here. Don't worry, you can eat in here. You can drink in here. Let's just grab the spill food on the floor. And these off and clean it up. Or maybe you're going to clean it up. Because you're looking at it. Clean it up. Yeah. I got a mop back there. Okay, there's people in the hallway. We're going to start now. Okay. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Good evening. You know what? I gotta acknowledge that. Because anytime I say good evening or good afternoon or good morning, especially when I'm teaching at Carleton, as soon as we do it. Then I gotta be like, come on, man. Like, what's up? Yeah, so I really appreciate that. So again, to those who don't know, my name is Warren Clark. I am a PhD student at Carleton University in the sociology department, going on my third year. My research looks at race, ethnicity, gender, specifically Black young men, and their unemployment experiences in employment youth centers. Careful, I don't have money for that. All right. So a little background about me. I have done a lot of community organizing in Toronto. Particularly with the Jamaican Canadian Association. Yeah. All right. Yeah, JC. Anywho, so I've done programming with them in terms of a specific organization called CAFCAN. If you're not familiar with them, now you know. Working with another organization called Race for AIDS, looking at sexual health and AIDS. So I've done a lot of work in community in Toronto, and so community work is my passion. So although I'm in school for many years in the ivory towers college, I always like to be back in the community some way, somehow. Hi. Hey, okay. So, just a few things. Just want to make sure that we understand this is a safe space. Okay, and what does that mean? What does that mean? Anybody? All right, I'll just tell you. So what that means is respecting each other. Okay. Also, respecting the space and keeping it positive all times. All right. Now, let's talk about what's going to happen here tonight. I'm going to enlighten you why we're doing this as a purpose of in a moment. But in doing these events, hey, how you doing? I like that hat. In doing these events, there are sometimes things are going to be said that may not sit well within your stomach, all right, or may get you thinking, and that's the whole purpose of it, not to make you feel upset. Well, we want to trouble the waters a little bit, okay? We want to understand this topic in terms of Black masculinity, but in terms of how women add value or add to the social development of young Black men, okay? So one of the reasons we're opening space to both women and men is because the perspectives do matter for both groups of people. And I'm getting a call, and I don't know why it's Toronto. So I'm going to answer this question. Are you okay? Hello? This is Toronto. Sorry. Hello? Okay. No, I've started, so I'm good. Okay, I'm going to give you this one. This is Toronto. Yes. Thank you. So if you don't know, I'm sorry, that was rude of me. So we're doing this in 3 different cities. Okay, which I'll talk about more extensively in a second. But the reason for that is inclusive, making this inclusive for our communities, our Black communities, African, Caribbean Black communities. We wanted to not only show to ourselves that we do have opinions that matter, and our opinions, our perspectives can help bring positive changes to our community as long as we're listening to each other. Okay, but not only listening to each other, actively listening to each other. And that's what we're trying to encourage in this room. Again, making it a positive space. So I'll talk about the reason why the 3 cities a little bit more depth before we get responses. Okay. So the reason for this barbershop talk is because in November, I'll just start by giving my experience. I had everybody met me before November. I had dreads like down to my butt, right? So I cut dreads, obviously, because they're not on my head. And I went to the barber. You know, I went to the barber in St. Laurent for a right cut, and kind of this great discussion about gender, sexuality, and hip hop, and all sorts of topics. And I thought it was really cool that these conversations exist in a barbershop, especially where there's young men or men, black men in the space. But what was cool about it in terms of like getting into the space and having these types of conversations is that to encourage our community that we're already talking, but we just need to talk together, okay? And we need to listen together, all right? So that's one of the purposes of doing this event. But what should be number one, I would say, but it's recognizing that, you know what, there's a lot of young black men who are in marginalized positions in society, but we need to work together and not excluding the woman body, but we need to pay attention to a lot of black men. Now, talking about the United States perspectives really quickly, if you're paying attention to the news, there's a lot of black men bodies working in shop by police brutality, which is a reality in our North American context. For me personally, I've lost, now the count up to 7 as of today, young black men who passed away due to mental health, heart attack, stomach cancer, and the list goes on and on. So we really need attention to ourselves, our bodies, and how our bodies social. Okay. Before we continue, I just want to acknowledge our okay, so please acknowledge that, say homage to that. Let's talk about what can possibly happen in this space. There are these things that we said from maybe this side of the room, not pointing to anybody specifically. At this side of the room, someone here may be, hey, I want to challenge that. And we accept that challenge, but only in a positive way. It's really important to respect each other's opinions as it continues, right? Now, what has happened in the past, we start the event at 6:30 and we end up at 10 o'clock. I'm just setting the tone now. We're not doing that today. It's not happening, all right? You want to respect, you guys work tomorrow, right? Unless you don't want to go to work. You can say stuff like that. All right? And because that there's going to be touchy topics being talked about, we do have safe spaces for you to just chill out, okay? It's a nice day. We have Miranda, thanks to, oh, before I continue, can we just like do a round of applause for Suzanne to allow us heard that. Hopefully you heard that. Like a kudos, you know? Thank you, oh my God. We'll get back there. You'll get back there? Thank you. You gonna tell her? Yeah. Make sure you do. I'm counting on you. All right. So, yeah, Suzanne, thank you. Let's talk about the safe spaces. At any time, ladies is first, and the men's I saw on the left side. Okay? I want to acknowledge that as well. So many ground rules. So, yeah, let's talk about what's going on in recording. This is to be a recorded event. Cool. Yeah, okay. Also, we're going to be live streaming the event. So those who could not make it, say hi to everybody. Bye! At all, okay?
If you have a preference and don't want to be filmed, we're just asking that you at some point.
Cool.
I'll let you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Adding value. Always adding value. Always. So we're saying, oh yeah, 5 golden ticket rule, okay? So what that means is we're gonna so I'll let you know some of you guys didn't talk to John, so I saw you. All day, every day. John will be saying, Warren, oh my God, someone in BC, amazing response. You need to let the group know, right? And John's gonna send me, get up, like, oh my gosh, drop mic, this is what this person said, right? So this is how we're going to interact. Yeah. Recording for future purposes. Oh yeah, all right. Watch your own video we talked about. Also wanted to acknowledge, I'm telling you, no, okay. I believe this program is all about. The community has shown that, you know, this is something we started the event in 3 cities at 20 tickets. Just so you remember, 20 tickets, right? And then I got emails and calls like, yo, what up, man? I'm gonna find you. I know where you study at. And I was like, oh, shoot. All right? And I had tickets to each city. So we sold out without paying, we're not charging anybody for this event, but we registered full cross city. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. I want to touch on that real quick. All right. So I was interviewed. I had 4 interviews leading up to the event. 1 on CBC, 2 on CKCU, and then 1 on Dr. Live. It's on my Facebook, and I can send you a link afterwards as well. And one question came to me, like, why are you doing this in Cleveland? Like, what's the whole purpose of doing 3 cities? And I was like, why not? No, why can't we build a number and build a stronger community? And you know what? We just proved to ourselves and proved to the haters. Yeah, there was a hater this afternoon. I can talk about it too much, but there's hate out there, right? But you know what? We're doing something that's positive. That's what I do, right? And this is not a Warren thing. This is us thing. If we lead with that in mind, we can better our community. Okay, so I'm not the leader. Anybody wants coming? No? All right, never mind. All right, anyways, I'm not the leader, all right? I'm just here working among the great people in front of me, great people are in front of the camera, and those who will help organize this event, okay? So before we get into it, is there any questions, comments, concerns that want to bring it to our attention?
What are the social handles? So after you post something about it.
You know, I'm old, right? So I'm not running that department. So Sonia, where are you? You don't know where she is? There you go. So Sonia can let you guys know what those social handles is after. I'm getting better. I am working towards that, okay? That's on my to-do list, all right? So much things going on my world. But
You're not good at it yet.
thank you for just acknowledging that this is very much business. Thanks a lot. Yep. All right, that's your question. All right, anything else? All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, Warren, we're ready. No, I can't wait for this, right? Okay, so we're going to get into it. Again, respect each other. There's going to be questions that people are going to say things, or response to the questions that may not sit well, but again, please have an open mind, ears, and open heart. Okay? Oh, yeah, one more thing. Each question will be timed, okay? So what happens, right? I've seen this happen. Like someone will say something on this side, and it'll be like, woo, she said it, oh my God, right? And then someone on the side will be and forth, and then all of a sudden we're at 20 minutes we're in the first. So I'm going to interject. If I feel a topic, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to go for another 5 more minutes. Yeah, there you go. Sociology. That's what I'm talking about. Ready for questions? All right. Okay. Okay. Oh, squat.
It's for standing.
Yeah, there's 3 seats right here.
3 seats right there.
Like standing. All right, he's ready. I see it. You got the question in the email? I'm good. You know I'm asking the questions in the email? No. Oh, you did? Oh, okay. I read the question. Oh, I know this one right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is important. I just want to acknowledge this. Acknowledge that many of you have different experiences with your lives. When you're using the word mother, you're including the experience for friends, aunts, brothers, and up to including sisters who have contributed to young Black men's masculinity. Okay? So it's not exclusive to mothers. Just want to make sure it's clear. Okay? Cool. All right. So, Black young man, and no, the first question we have in French as well. I don't speak French, so I'm not reading it in French. Mothers who are raising young Black men and perceive. Oh, someone's ready. There we go.
Along with the perceptions I get, I have 2 boys. One is 16, the other one is 10. I am a single mother, and I have a strong network. The perception of a lot of people, my experience. Oh, yeah. So I don't have the means. It is perceived that I do not have the means, that I don't have the know-how, and that I do it by myself.
Feeling up the room? Anybody else want to comment on that? Oh,
I also raised a single, I'm also a single mother, and the perception I get is that it wasn't my choice to raise my son by myself. I want people to know that just because you raise your son by yourself, it doesn't mean that it was not your choice. I made the choice to raise my son by myself because it was a healthy choice for me to do so.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, for opening, maybe we can talk about, you refer to the perception. Maybe who you speak of perception, who are you talking to the immediate community? Are you talking about large, just to get an idea of what the perspective comes from?
Sorry, let me hand you real quick. Sorry about that.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I personally feel that single mothers who are raising boys are perceived as extraordinary human beings, without necessarily taking into account the social context. No human being stands alone in a community. So even if a single mother is raising a child, she's getting support from relatives, brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, and so forth. So who is the champion? Is it one person who is the champion, or is it the aggregate of all the efforts that have gone into raising a child?
A little bit of a spoken wheel. My name is Anne Tuck, and I certainly raised a strong Black man. And when we speak about women raising men, women necessarily within the family tend to be the ones who raise the children, okay? Generally speaking. Now young men are getting more involved in the discipline and raising of the children. For me, I find that there's always a perception that it is the mother's fault. And that stands out. And there are different ways that we've chosen to raise our children, either by hitting the child or doing a lot of talking. I chose doing a lot of talking and explaining, which is longer, but in the end, I like to think that it worked out. There'll be that split for me where people decide how we're going to do this disciplinary. One would be do it in the traditional way where men don't cry, and I've had that experience. My former husband holding my 3-year-old son and shaking him. Literally, boys don't cry, men don't cry. There was an agreement, stay away. We will not talk about this until, we discipline the child until the child is not around. So, I was really mad, of course. Like, most of the time I did a lot of the discipline. So that even though you have both people within the family, how do you do the discipline? And research out there and research out there shows that women are harder on their sons than they are on their daughters. And I don't know whether anybody
from my perspective as a young woman looking at being a single woman, looking at a man, I notice the way I see it is they are over-cuddling. Mothers are over-cuddling of men. And it's too easy. So they don't work hard to get what the value, the worth of a woman. They get all women very easily. things were very easy for them. Look at my little brother, he's like a prince. Where the three sisters, we worked hard. So he was allowed to go out, curfews, break them, do whatever he wanted. Us, we had to be home early. He had it easy. And I watched him grow up, and it's like he had to move on his own to really realize that he had to really hold his own, while we learned it very early on. So for me, my perspective, they were overcoming.
When you're asking, when you say how are the mothers perceived and by who, I have come across people in different, I guess you could say, categories of life kind of thing. So when I walk into my kids' school and talk to the principal, as opposed to when I walk into somewhere that, say, a community event, the perception is very, very different. The perception those in a higher position, again, is a lot of, oh, you've got a rough road ahead of you. And it's not so much of a, hey, you're doing a great job, or way to go, or I've never been told that my kids have been any issue to anybody, but from other adults, I get a lot of, you know, that's too bad. You know, I'm sorry to hear that you're doing.
So what I'm hearing is, I'm not sure, does anyone want to comment? Any other comments? Or say anything? Oh, we have both. Okay. So can I get 2 minutes? Can I get 2 minutes? My timekeeper says I get 2 minutes. All right, so I'm going to go here first.
Another thing that I wanted to add is that I think sometimes people assume that this person in the single mother, that their life is way more complicated than the person who was. I think that's a something about this.
Right.
Question for me is that are we just is the question about single mothers or just mothers in general?
Well, as we defined it prior to the question, we're not specifically biological because it's
like single.
Well, you know what? I'm leaving it open right now, so we can take it either which way. Let's do that.
So I wanted to add is that as a person who was not raised by my biological reason. So do you think that whenever I was with my grandmother and my aunt, because I was only about himself, it was never an assumption that it was my aunt and my uncle. But I do think I wanted to latch on to comment about men being more powerful, which I agree with. I think that we allow more freedoms and we're allowed to break more rules, and that I was. But I also think that there's harsher criticism when we don't live up expectations. Express yourself more freely. If you step outside of the boundaries, that's to think that that's when things go awry.
So go, and then this is the last topic we got in the month. Okay. Make.
Wanted to point out that we jumped right away. Talking about things. And, the perspective of a Black mother, whether you're single or as dual parenting, I find that for myself, see general community, both my fellow brothers and sisters in my community and beyond, that I'm uneducated because I'm a single parent. And so I find that there's a lot of cases when they find out that I actually am educated. When I open my mouth and they see that I can actually form a sentence and make sense and actually respond and rebuttal, you know, if I'm talking to teachers or principals, whatever, you know, and I defend my children, I find that they are surprised that, you know, I am educated, I can actually defend my well and make choices for them that they didn't expect. So I do find that in general, across the board, that if you do see single automatically assume that surely she's not as educated as she should be.
Was it assumed that you were saying? Sorry, I'm not sure. Just the way
That's why I started off as, talking about being a single parent and that, it's just you're not as educated as people seem in my experience, people seem to be surprised and
Like, why is it so important, or is it important? I don't know.
For me, like, I watch my mother move around the city and she volunteers and does all these things. It kind of puts in perspective what I look for in a woman. So I want someone that's motivated and has dreams and ambition, all that stuff. So kind of when I look at my mother, I look at her, and this is what a strong I want to find one mind that's strong.
So relationship building.
And to add to that relationship building, love. If you don't have that love from the beginning, how are you going to build relationship? The mother, if you don't have that mother-son love, how do you love yourself? How do you love others?
I would also add respect and the ability to be kind and generous. And generous and selfless in many ways. But how do you balance that? How do you also take responsibility for your actions in terms of that type of relationship that I hope I've created with my son and my children?
Well, I think the relationship is it's pivotal in the life of any young person because it's a relationship that starts 9 months before the young man takes in the first breath of fresh air and screams like like he's being needled. It's a relationship that starts right in the womb. And there's a lot that goes on there, which I think even science is not able to decipher or decode. When the child comes into the world, that relationship is on a different dimension because the child is almost totally dependent on the mother. For breastfeeding, for comfort, and so on and so forth. If the child is, both parents are working, then it's even more problematic because a lot of the heavy lifting is still done by the mother. But if it's a home where the father is the father is the sole income earner, now his relationship to the child is different. He definitely has a relationship with the child, with the son, but it's not on the same scale as the relationship with the mother. I come from traditional African society where women had power, wielded influence in their before in pre-colonial times. But the colonial masters came and changed the equation. In pre-colonial time, in my society, owned property in their own right, not as appendages of men, in their own right. In my own society, women on the same footing as the traditional rulership. So this relationship is what the French call rapport fusionnel relationship because they called, though the umbilical cord is severed, that link still there.
I saw a hand here and then we'll look over there. Is that okay? I saw two hands, looks like. Okay. Yeah. Three.
I think from the very beginning, the mother-daughter relationship, trust building, if you lose that with your mother, and it leads into a whole host of other psychological issues that you carry with you. As the as your son specifically gets older, I think it is, it's a way to teach respect. It's a way to teach trust on a different level. It is a way to teach ambition. It's a way to teach goal setting as the relationship goes on, and then as they start to move on and to get into their own lives, it also is a way to create a safe space that you can always go back to, or if not.
Yeah, my comments are going to be very similar to what you just said. I was thinking about my brother's relationship with my mother, and really the sense in terms of time, and how different that relationship has been over time, especially when he had his own children, and then he had a new level of relationship with my mom, where he appreciated her in a different way, and he looked to her for guidance, versus when he was younger, and my father was far more interested in him than my mother was, because she couldn't relate to what he was interested in at that point in time. I mean, as you have a strong relationship in the earlier years, then just like she was just mentioning, that place that you can come back to just becomes so important, because it's a resource that you have. It's a place that you can go to that's a safe space as well, that you can have those meaningful conversations. And at different stages in life, you're open to different things from your mother, depending on where you're at and how receptive are to information and her guidance. Because you're not always necessarily going to listen, but when you are ready to, it's extremely.
One of the things about our society at large is that the strong misogyny. And I think when you look at the mother-son relationship, it's an early exposure to the importance of women and gender equity and equality. And it does a great work against misogyny. And I think when we came on relationship, the reason why I live the way I do and why my perspective the way it was, or the way it is, because of the relationship that I have with my mother. And I've been able to look at, my sisters as equals, and also look up to my sisters. And that has helped me to have, I think, a healthier perspective on what life means and what it means to work as a community. So I think that's one of the mother-son relationship does really well. It just destroys misogyny.
The last question here.
I think it's on the parents to build that connection, because as a kid, you really have no choice to what you absorb in life. So for your parents, for you to be interested or look up to your parents and have that connection with your mother or father, that the father should make it, or a mother should make an effort to be in the kid's life. Because if you're not in someone's life growing up, they're not going to really look up to you, especially at the teenage age where we're very rebellious. Like, even when I went through, when I was younger, I went through a stage where I didn't even want to hear my parents. But then my dad would speak to me like a grown person. Like, even though, things that I wouldn't understand, so, there's stuff that taught me when I was 6 years old that I didn't understand till last year. So I feel like that connection, speaking to your kids, is the reason why kids are interested in their parents. My dad used to talk to me about when he was a kid, what he experienced in Africa and whatnot. So that's why I had an interest in my mom or father. And my mom showed me love as a young, so that's respect my siblings. If my sister says something, I would talk back. In my household, whatever, even my dad, when my sister says stuff, he doesn't even talk back. He says, "You're right," and he walks. Even today, my mom bought couches today, and she was like, "Oh, does dad like this couch?" And she was like, "Why does he count?" And I was like, "You're right." So I grew up in that household, so for me, in a sense, I go to women as for opinions and whatnot before I even go to bed. I value female opinion more than I get. When I'm wearing clothes, do you like this?
It's the origin, right, of everything that we know. And so when you disrupt that and shift that in the wrong direction, it is usually a boat that you can't really. It takes a while to re-navigate it back. Right? Our communities are built on the backs of our mothers. Our fathers are married. there to help. I mean, up there, you know, it's like, I'll tell you, straighten your tie, walk straight, but certain things that are inherent that cannot teach. That's like slowly is navigate.
I'm gonna give you one more. I got one more. Thank you. I gotta ask the timekeeper. The timekeeper in charge right now.
I love that. For me personally, my mother was like my first best friend. These days, if I'm going through anything, it's the only person I will talk to. It's just because that I know that my happiness is her happiness, and she taught me from the beginning. She'll tell me like your success is my success. So I know that about herself, and a big factor in my life because I know you should be do better no matter what situation I am in. And if I know like deciding factor of doing something would be like, would my mom be proud? Would my mom would be in this situation? Would my mom want me doing this? And then I think that's just a beautiful relationship. So that's who I would always look up.
You know, I love what's going on here. The word that comes to mind is vulnerability. People are being vulnerable right now, right? And that way of being vulnerable, we're creating solidarity. People are connecting. People are like, yeah, you know, I remember that, or you know, like, God, he said that, right? So just want to acknowledge that. Thank you for sharing, especially you know, dressing, because I'm the same way, man. Like, not that good at it. So anywho, moving on. What role does femininity play within the relationship between women and their black boys? A little bit more specific now, I reckon.
I'd like to hear other people.
Okay, all right, fair enough, fair enough.
I'm curious.
Would you like to start with that question?
Can somebody define femininity to me? Yeah, define femininity.
Yeah.
Well, for some inexplicable reasons, femininity is kind of shrouded in, there's a shroud of secrecy over the whole package of femininity. Well, I'm speaking here from myself as a guy who was born in Nigeria, in a tribe where both parents bring up the child. When your mother looks at you, you're misbehaving. When your mother looks at you, you know you're doing something wrong. You just got to start doing something else. When your daddy looks at you, like in a public gathering, I mean, my son is right, you're right there, your daddy is here, and you're misbehaving, and he looks at you and makes direct eye contact with you. There's a current that goes through that tells you you're doing something wrong. And when we get home, we deal with that. Yeah. Same thing with my mother. But I just know that from my own experience, the whole question of femininity is like a taboo. It's like a no-go area. Nobody talks about it. And unfortunately, you know, the women don't do a good job of telling their children, both boys and girls, what femininity is all about. That's why you find that some young girls, even if they don't know anything about their menstrual cycle, they don't know much about, you know, about safe sex until after the fact. With boys, it's the same thing. You know, I had friends, colleagues, you know, who were dating girls but didn't know what to do behind closed doors. No, they just didn't know. You know, yeah.
So I just want to, hold on. So I just want to, hold on. No, so I just want to comment on something. I just want to let you know that's my family right there. His family right there. It's okay, don't even apologize. I started. Okay, so, all right. So what we're hearing now is, and I'm not trying to pinpoint you as the villain, okay? But we heard something where it said women aren't doing a good job. Right? That's what I heard. Okay. Now, let's unpack that part. I think it's important that we acknowledge that. And the reason why language is important, okay? How we say things can be interpreted in different ways, right? And even through this way of saying it may not be the way we mean things. This is what I saw. I saw this. I saw the bag was right here, bro. I saw the woman that said,
Well, 30 seconds. I come from a society where, if this is white, you say it's white. You don't say it is beige or off-white or whatever. If something is black, it's black, regardless of whose axe is pulled. And I grew up in that kind of atmosphere where you have to be brutally frank when you're talking to. When I'm talking to outsiders, it's a different thing. But when I'm talking to my people, the people I love, cherish, I have to be brutally frank. So take it any way you like.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're gonna go here because when you were talking the whole time.
Sorry. So my experience is very different from the one that you did, which is normal. We all have the same experience. I have an older sister and an and an older brother, and because he, nice, I'm glad to hear that. And I think, just in terms of the traditional genitals that would be associated with but because he was so well versed in all of these things, and my mother very much encouraged communication and all the things that would usually be feminine. My brother has to play like he can't believe, like he knows how to communicate with women and in another way. What is the question? What role does femininity play in relationships between women and boys? I guess it depends on how you define femininity and whether it's a positive thing, negative thing, what your idea of what that is, and how you choose to, project that onto your son. And like, my sister and I talk for ourselves, and my goodness, he should have been a girl with nicer hair than us, and nicer lashes than us, and all these like funny things. But like, at the end of the day, my mother just treated us and ensured me as a girl, I can build a console if I have to, and my brother can look much better than I should be. So that was my experience. Yeah.
I'm gonna go here. All right. You're next. Yeah, we'll go here. And go ahead.
I think it comes back to his comment about misogyny. If it's women and not doing a great job, there's a certain shame associated with certain aspects of femininity, right? So, period, there's a lot of shame around that, so they talking amongst themselves. Around sexuality, there's this idea that women cannot be sexual beings, so you cannot teach them about sexuality. So it's not necessarily that maybe to some extent you could say that they've done a bad job, but it's because there's a lot of shame that is associated from men to being a woman that's not, don't feel like there's a space for us to be able to discuss femininity.
I partially agree with Rebecca with what he said, but I think we should expand it. I don't think men and women are doing a good job. As a community that's under attack, and all the things that Brother Warren mentioned earlier, police brutality, various diseases, economic problems. As a community under attack, we're woefully ineffective in making men and women. We do it ad hoc. Okay, watch mommy, watch daddy, watch what I do, and then when you turn 18, boom, you're married to a woman. We don't have a community standard about what it is men and women are, and we don't have the community mechanisms to do rites of passage type programs. You have to teach, we teach people math. For school, you learn math. You have to learn, you have to spend so many hours, you learn it. We teach our kids football. Everybody's watching the World Cup, teach our kids football. We spend hours on it. We don't spend hours actively teaching our children how to be men and women. Success, I think everybody here would think there's success and they made it. We're, as a attack, it's not efficient to say, oh, we got a couple of examples of black men doing well, black women doing well. we losing 1 out of every 3 people, and then we're not being effective.
I will say this. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna throw my like Warren power into this. But sorry, I guess it was more. Never. Anywho, you know, I'll be vulnerable. Can I be vulnerable, people? Can I be vulnerable? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for saying that. So, are we doing this now? Okay. Cool. So, with my relationship with my parents, let's put things in perspective. You know, I wasn't like a perfect kid. I was like doing a whole bunch of stuff we'll not talk about right now. However, as Arnold's laughing at me, you know, there are some things that, you know, that are truth when I'm hearing with my mother and my father. There was no like, you know, sitting down and like really showing Warren, hey, this is how you treat a woman. Hey, let me do this. You know, like, hey, this is how you behave about myself. Now, as I look back and I'm older, and I see the life where I'm at and the age I'm at, I'm able to think clearly. You know, like the episode of or whatever those sitcoms are. Was it Full House? No, Family. Thank you. I just love Family. Urkel, you know. You know when it was the coolest part? And we turned this stuff on. I was like, he's getting over now. You know? Anywho, sorry, my bad. Got a little excited. So anywho, I look back, and I said this, asking the question, you know, when they asked me, they did a pre-interview and they asked me, well, what came in the relationship with your mom? I was like, oh, shit. What am I going to say? You know? So I went to the gym and worked out, thought about it. I was like, okay, you know what? She shot me strength, indirectly. You know, she raised 2 young boys by herself. You know what I mean? Like, I made it. I think, you know, no one touched me when I was young. I ate well, I was fat, you know? I'm serious, I was fat, man. I was so fat. What's up with the time? You know, and you know, I had shelter over my head, you know. So like, and me causing the way I did, like, you know, that I'm telling you, if you want to hear that often, I'll tell you. But because people are watching, you know, all around the world here, probably, you know, like it took a lot of strength for that woman to be like, you know what, I'm still gonna feed you, you know. So for me, it was taught indirectly, you know. And sometimes we're not so critical, especially at a young age. You're like, oh yeah, that's what mom means. As was mentioned here, right? It took you to last year to say, well, yeah, that's what it means, right? So, you know, I think you're right. There's a lot of work to that. Sorry, don't twist in your next. Suzanne, you're next. But we're going to turn this into a topic. Hot topic. Here we go. Next. That's what I was.
I have 3 boys. She found out from other kids at school that she was going to develop. They did not teach them these things. So she says, if we were not equipped to learn these things about ourselves, how are we supposed to know that we're supposed to teach to our children? So because they learned at school that, okay, you know, women are going to develop breast testicles and so on and so forth, she says, well, it's not my responsibility to be teaching that to my children if that's not what I'm supposed to do. Because my role as a parent is to provide for my children. It's not to teach them these things, it's for them to learn it. Here's from other people in the family. Later on, she found out kids to find out. Well, it was teach them these things, but I did not know this. And she was 14, she had her first child. She didn't know that when you have sex, you can become pregnant. That's what happened. Again, because she had to find out no one taught her these things. So that the education piece, the time piece are things that they're real. They're real.
Right here.
So, 2-part comment on 2 aspects. I'm a continental African, raised by 2 parents, and I see traditional child rearing methodology in African homes. Is you're coming here, continental Africa. And we still have that mindset of back home in continental Africa where we have a solid extended family network with clearly assigned roles. She's talking about the peers that are supposed to tell you gave you sex and everything. In my culture, your parents are not, it's your grandma or your great aunt or it's another generation removed from you, right? But we come here and we don't have all of that. So there's an issue with adapting to the new here and just adjusting how we're raising our boys and our men. I've been in situations where, because I was raised abroad most of my life, even though it was my continental parents, I'm here, I'm dating African guys who are expecting me to be, you know, preparing fufu for them when they come back. But it's true, because that is their upbringing. The gender roles do not change where they go, because they take their village with wherever they go. So they come and here's this westernized, North American, continental African woman, and they're expecting the conclusion. But they both have work to do, we have the library, but they still to experience exactly the view from their home. So something a lot of continental African mothers could do to help junior that look before you send it to school abroad, different, and how there's adjustments to make, and that there should be realistic expectations. Because you say every single one of those relationships fail because I was not doing that. I'm like, no, I'm doing like you, and I'm fending for myself. Fending for you. We're just taking at home. We're together. That's what you're doing. So, the relationship between the mother and the daughter, especially in an intercultural as well. There's the parents of American Black men.
Now I want to. Okay, there's like sorry, 2 minutes. Just your next.
Piggyback on
okay. Okay, really quickly. Okay, forgot to go. Tristan is next than you. Okay.
Recognize that.
Okay. Hold on. We have a lot of comments online, so I'm gonna cut off. Sorry, I have to do it fast. I gotta do it.
I got ground us that we're talking about continental Africa. We talking about the colonial upbringing, whether it is Africa or the Caribbean and the traditional male-female roles, and now things are changing. So I wasn't talking either. So I had to teach myself, my children, I bought books and taught them, okay, because we were all chaperone, females were chaperone and all sorts of things. And that was traditional upbringing.
Thank you. All right, it's information. I'm not like that. Just because we have other Tristan. Okay, Tristan.
This all depends on where.
Sorry, real quick, please go to stop.
Yeah, dad's not a rough rider, but he let me know at a young age that he was, even though he's a masculine man or whatever, so I hear everyone else something, but I never, me personally, I knew what all these things were before I got to age to work. Dad, I will stand down talking with him. When I look at the difference, me and my brother were the same, but we're different. He's very shut off, and things are black and white. There's no ladies, there's no none of that. And I'm very, the whole world, there's room for question everywhere. But I see the difference between how my parents raised him and how my parents raised me. And I find both of us have a very solid understanding of, okay, I can be a masculine man, but still feel soft if something happens to someone I love, or this happens, or that, or I'm not soft if I speak my mind and say, yeah, that hurt my feelings. I don't like this, and that. But there are some people, I feel like you were saying earlier, you don't do a good enough job as men and women trying to promote our young youths how to be adults. So like in part of being an adult is being able to communicate with yourself and understand who you actually are. So like when we don't do that, now you're saying, okay, you're just a man, when you see some of these men in the gender relationship with a woman, how they love her, and then something goes wrong, because they're never in tune with their own feelings, they don't know it. Now they're all angry, they're trying to break things. Instead of actually sitting there and talking, this is, you don't understand that. You're trying to be all angry about things just because you were never in tune with your own emotions.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Sorry, so many before I got to me, but I wanted one, what Sarah was talking about, that we live in an electronic village now, instead of the real village. And we need to start putting down our phones and start having conversations with each other. So thank you for being here today, because this is what has to happen with our sons, and this is a conversation that has to happen with our daughters. So providing space. Oh, you're welcome. So really, this is how the village gathers, and this is what should be happening for you. In regards to before, that there was a conversation about things that there's not supports happening in the community. There actually are supports happening in the community, and we need to start referring our youth. Here's one of them. Yes, we do have a program here. There's not only here. I don't want to look like I'm just advertising myself, but there's other programs that happen in the community that we need to refer our youth to. Our youth, from my experience, age 15, they're working. They're working, and 16, but not only are they working, it's not like when I was 15 and 16 trying to work for my Stan Smith running shoes. They're working, and they're contributing to the household. They're paying the hydro bill. They're helping with the rent. They're helping with the mortgage. And we need to start realizing that our youth have increased responsibilities than maybe when we were 14, 15, 16. So what are we going to do about that? So I just think that we're living in a different time. Our village needs to be aware of what's happening, because I think we're a bit out of touch. I'm sorry. You know, we are a little bit out of touch as to what our youth are dealing or having conversations with. I'm so happy to see these two young men at the front participating, because their perspective is what we need to hear. We could talk about it all we want. You know, we got the elders in the room, we got, right? We could talk about it all we want, but we need to have our conversation with her. There was one other point I wanted to make. Oh yes, about the whole sex thing, femininity. My son is 11 years old, and I told him to have a conversation, but it's a conversation that I felt that he needs to have with his father. There's a book that I bought for my daughter called, can't remember what it's called now, I'll remember it when I remember it, but I bought her book, and we went through it together. Sorry? Ophelia? No, it was a book about just body changes and pubic hair, menstrual cycles, and so forth. I bought it and we read it together. Right? There was some stuff that I learned. I was honest. I was like, oh, is that how that works? Okay. So there's the same version of that book for boys. And I was telling my son that I'm going to be getting this book for you that you need to read with your father. And he said to me, Mommy, why can't I read it with you? I said, would you like to talk about your penis with me? And he was like, I'm good. I'll talk that. But it doesn't mean that if he has questions that he's not welcome to come to me. I'm a very open person. Most of you in the room who know that I'll talk to you about anything, right? And I tell my kids the same thing. And we need to also encourage our children to talk to us about anything. We have to get out of this like, well, no, I don't want to hear about that. Go look it up on YouTube. Let's start talking in the village, talking with our youth.
Okay, so, all right. Yeah, I'm going to come to you on this side. I want to get this side, and we'll go back and forth. Okay, timer, are we good? All right. I think at this point he's like, listen, man. All right, we'll take 4 more and we'll move on. We do that timer? All right, he agrees. We'll move on. We do that timer? All right, he agrees. So we're doing it. All right.
I want to add to what she said about things kind of changing. I'd like to talk about people that have been doing things a different way, and sometimes there can be a bit of conflict. Something as simple as when to stop breastfeeding. You know, what your son's role should be, and I think that there's a bit of a conflict with what the youth are trying to do, from what we think and what we're being taught to do. So that type of communication and conversation needs to happen too, so we can kind of find a middle ground or a better way to go forward. Not just the traditional what we've been doing, because sometimes that's just.
We're gonna go back to there. There you go, please.
So a lot of what I'm hearing is a lot of hearing, and the roles were predefined. My mom did this, my father did this, she did yard work, my father cooked too, but it was still very defined roles. Communication was loud, fast, not always clear. Not always clear. If you asked my father about when the girl was getting abroad, he would run and find something to do. And then same thing with the other way around. If you know, oh well, my brother needed a job strap or something, and my mom's like, here you go, this is your job. So I think that's important. And I think the other thing that's changing is when we're teaching our boys today about femininity, I'm wondering if the pendulum almost hasn't swung too far in saying that the woman or your mother can do everything, will do everything, and can handle absolutely when in actuality we need help.
So here.
I think I wanted to add was that for me personally, I have 6 sisters and a mother that I'm very close with, and like there'll be times where I'll be sitting with my mom and we're able to have a conversation first about like nothing, just the day to day, what she's seen today, and my mom loves to gossip, so she tell me stories that I really don't care about the neighborhood and stuff. And I'll go downstairs with my sisters where like they put on face masks, I'll put on too. As long as my brothers don't find out, but I'll do that. But yeah, and then I'll do that, and we're able to have deep conversations about things that I can't have with my father, or like my younger brothers they have that with my mom on their own time, but it's just that we don't have that, and I know that I hide that part of me from my friends, like my guy friends, because like I'll be alright. Like if I know a lot of my friends, like if I like take Snapchat with a face mask on, like. My sister's like cutting my nails or playing with them and stuff. She'll be like, "Are you gay or something like that?" You know what I mean? So you can't even that side of like you're not like that little feminine side outside. You have to be strong. Like you know, about that life is nothing. You know, so you can't really. I think that's the big thing is you can't be soft. And like there is a soft side. I feel like we all do have a soft side when it comes to sisters and moms. It's just we can't show that to anyone.
Okay, we've got 2 more and that's it. Okay, we're gonna move on. Nadine?
Quickly, I appreciate the comments. Sorry. Yeah, I appreciate the comments that came up, particularly the one about there being no rule book for parenting. And my comment is probably more of a question. And I was also listening to the other comment about some of the gaps in community and things and resources that are missing. And my question, how can we create those spaces of resource for parents who, and I'm happy to hear that so many people had great experiences with their parents, but I together didn't really know everything. So when as a parent being on this new journey for which there is no rule book, what can we create in the community, in the Suzanne was talking about earlier, as a resource, as a space for people to learn and to make learning kind of this lifelong process, and not assume that we just know everything when we have children. So.
I know we have a lot more comments. This was a hot topic. We went over longer than expected. Okay. If we have more time, we'll come back to it. But we have more questions we want to ask. Okay. And the comments and opinions and perspectives great thus far. People are shaking their head like yes. Finally, someone said something they wanted to say. I think that's what I'm getting from you. But thank you for acknowledging that. But we're gonna move on. Okay. We're gonna move on. All right. Masculinity. All right. So, question: how do mothers who are in a relationship with fathers assist in the Black young man's masculinity development?
Can you repeat the question?
You can't. Okay, I'm going to repeat the question. Then you'll start us off. Yeah. Okay. So, how do mothers who are in a relationship with fathers assist in a Black young man's masculinity development? You're up.
So the conversation started with, generally mothers and sons, but glad that it's going the way it is. By this I mean it's narrowing down to a more specific situation, which is the reality of being Black in North America and specifically in Canada. I haven't lived in both Canada and the US. There's some differences here and there, but specifically in Canada, I think that probably the most important thing, and this might be slightly biased, but I think the most important thing that young men, especially Black young men, because it's been, the question is directed, is economic empowerment and economic opportunity. And simply because they are in a situation where they're existing in a capitalistic society that's been in existence for 150 years, probably more. And the type that will rise all ships is, in my opinion, more than being able to empower, especially Black young men, financially and economically. Now, how do mothers do this? Well, I think, especially in Canada and the US, I don't want to say you have the odds stacked against them, but there are specific challenges. And narrowly speaking, I can see it in two ways: staying in a job and staying out of jail. And jail could be used to stand for any kind of numerous legal encumbrances, right? As long as you're within that range and continually trying to optimize your your economic position, then this, along with everything else, I think, will go the positive direction, which is up. Now, this is kind of balance what fathers do. In my opinion, the challenges, fathers will impart those traits that are likely to lead to success in the in the economy, right? Because we are a capitalist society, so success will more likely be determined by masculine traits, which I think will be transferred from father to son. Can't be transferred from mother to son, for the most part, from father to son. The role of the mother is important, I think, because feminine traits are also important, because if too much of one side will lead either to just being tyrannical, which leads you back to jail, or not understanding how to relate with females who are A, female, B, for the most part, in the majority of a different race and therefore different culture. So being able to relate to them, whether it's in the workplace or otherwise, I think that's my huge part of the role.
I'll be short. I think the answer, from my perspective, to this question is inside the question, and it's the word relationship. I think it's important for if Black mothers who are in a relationship with fathers are in that relationship and have dialogue over how they're going to influence the children, how they're going to teach their children, how they're going to open up this type of dialogue. I think that's really the answer. I think it's not necessarily, a dad's role or mom's role, but if there are two, I think that collaboration is really what makes processes in anything in life successful. I think of my wife and my two kids. I have a son who's 2.5, and I have a son who's 8 months. And everything that I'm teaching my son, these are things that I talk to my wife about. And I don't think that that'll ever change for us, because at the end of the day, it will take both of us to influence my children in the right way. We talk about having taking a village to raise a human being. Well, that should start in the home. It doesn't, you can't just think about the villages outside of your home. The village starts in the home. So I think the answer to this question really is in the room.
On this side of the Atlantic, our folks, people of Canada, are dealing with two big issues: slavery and the superimposition of the colonial experience. I'm talking of the Caribbean now. In Africa, we're dealing just with the colonial experience. So there are two different paradigms. But what I'm coming to here is that, I don't. Can anybody tell me the female
counterpart of Uncle Tom. Uncle Mama, okay. Or Uncle Sam, Uncle Sam. Any female counterpart? No. Because the slave master's primary goal was to emasculate the men and empower the women. Then you find that in this society here, it's the narrative is mother all the time. If you find a successful young man, you put him on television and interview him, he will go, he's lyrical about all that his mother did for him. Even when he grew up in a family with two parents. Personally, I grew up in a family with two parents in Africa before I came. Eight complementary roles. Complementary. My father was, so we're talking of the hard skills and the soft skills. Father provides the hard skills, the mother provides the soft skills that makes the young man, a complete person to operate in his society.
Well, maybe Thomas, later on. So it's really, the way the question is framed, it creates the ideal blueprint, right? We have both parents. The child is able to navigate from an early age, able to see two main components that he's going to take with him throughout life. One, how the male, how he sees dad interact with mom. And two, which is, because they say a lot of black men tend to be broken, right? But he also sees how he goes ahead and interacts with dad. Because as we grow up, what I've seen, I have a very close circle of men. The ones that didn't get the opportunity to get raised in a dual parent household. Sometimes have struggled, well, not sometimes, they've struggled quite a lot in their early 20s as they were dating because see that. So they created their normative, or they allowed the media to create that how they're supposed to interact with women and see expectation for women to interact with them. And so that's why you have, examples, from the hood, you have, if you have a child with her, you have all these scenarios that are negative because these men have had to mentally create that relationship they didn't get to witness it. It's not to say that it's a direct correlation. It's an automatic success if you do get raised in a dual parent household as opposed to a single parent household. But it does give you the opportunity to create a normacy blueprint. Oh, it's normal, especially if it's a healthy one. It's normal for dad to go ahead and listen to mom. Oh, it's normal for mom to speak this way. So that's what he's gonna expect as a man. That okay, I don't need to scream louder in order to be heard. I can still pass my message on. Respect all those qualities essentially where you pull from this, what I would call more stable blueprint.
Okay, so one hand here.
Actually, he said exactly essentially what I was going to say, but I would actually add to that. I think that you said earlier. I think when you think of the word gentleman, right? Maybe the father relationship is speaking to them, but the gentle part of compassion, and particularly the word that comes to me is also respect and consent and understanding. Just as he was saying, when you're dealing with people, how to treat them and how to also women when you're dating, how to treat them and how to do things. And then the economic side that you were actually adding on, talking about there, is actually, in my view, it's men saying we need more and more and more, and this woman saying we have enough. Let's do with what we have. There's plenty for all. And I think that's the dual relationship that shows masculinity and development.
I would like to, okay, Suzanne, yes, please.
I just want to say that the question assumes that the woman is, gentle and making cookies. I'm seeing from the responses.
Oh, okay.
From the responses, it just seems like, mom's soft, and you know, there are men who are also just teaching those emotions, having that emotional connection with their son. I have an 11-year-old who's in the house of both mom and dad is a provider. Dad is a provider with a regular 9 to 5. Those are not his hours, but you know what I mean. 9 to 5, coming home, cooking dinner, bringing to, right? It's not me. Mom works in the evening. Mom teaches dance and is very fair, right? And takes it from a different perspective. Mom's a businesswoman. So it's not always those traditional. So we have to just be aware of that. You know, it's not, mom is not always the traditional look making, rice and peas making. Mom, I'm just saying, you know, we have to be aware of that. And the women, I'm teaching my son how to be a businessman. That's what I bring to my son. So my son also cooks, and he's really that with his dad.
I know. This time I'm taking control. I'm
Sorry.
taking control. No. And I appreciate that. It's just because let's be very honest. It's 8:07, right? And yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. All right. Time keep guys. He's given 2 minutes. All right. He's in charge of the time. Right. Everybody ignored his first call, the last question, and it's like he's one like this to me. It's like whatever.
But the next question might be
Yeah, I think it will, right? But I want to say something about. I heard the word job. All right. It really grinds my gears. Family Guy. Right? It really grinds my gears when I hear, especially in our community, go get a job. No, I'm serious. It's like, why are we not saying go get a career? Why are we saying, hey, go be an entrepreneur with no education? Go get that money. Or you know what? Go get a job since you're not in high school. Go get a job. Since you're not in high school, you don't want to go to school, you go get a job. What's up with this thing called, this word job? Now here's what I'm thinking, right? Like, okay, fine, I've been in the academic sphere for so long. But one thing I'm noticing, especially in the grad studies programs I've been in, there's only me and only black person in the department is usually me, right? And then when jobs are available, when I get these emails for government jobs, who's getting these jobs? White people. And it's not to say it's a bad thing, but to say, well, how are we going to change the narrative, especially in institutions, if we don't have more of a black presence? How do we do that if we continue to use that word job? I'm not trying to point anybody out necessarily, but I just like something to think about. You know, we don't have to talk about it right now, but I just want something to think about, okay? Now, it's been 2 minutes, all right? If you want to comment on what I just said, please go ahead. But I saw a hand, so let's get over here and I'll get to you, okay? Right here.
Thank you. My name is Will. First of all, I want to say this is beautiful. Come together peacefully and be able to talk about these issues and everything. We have lost our ways. We have no knowledge of self. Most of us, we don't even know how to define ourselves. You know what I mean? We want to be like this rapper, we want to be like this person. So who are we? We look at all these things that we have in society, because we all know there's a system in place that our ancestors put in place first. It doesn't come with that. Especially if you have no knowledge of who you are, your history. And you have to be. You know what I mean? For example, I don't have to introduce myself. People already know who I am. I'm part of my culture. You know what I mean? But most of us, the media has done a great job. The propaganda, the negativity, and all we're trying to do is to fit in, to be loved, to be accepted. But no matter what, nobody's going to accept you that way if you know yourself. When you look at other cultures, for example, you look at the Chinese, they come here, they build businesses, they work together, and they're respected. We come here, it's everybody for himself. We got single parents working hard, and all we want to do is just look good, buy this iPhone, buy this and buy that. You know, all we do, we are consumers. We spend too much money because we don't know who we are. We have to go back to roots, because when you think about it, things don't matter. You look at all this material. Because even me, I was like that before I became more conscious with time. What I'm saying is, we often black people, you want to get a job, for example. It's hard. For you. You gotta find out what's passion. And it comes with who you are. That comes with the parents too. When you're raised by parents that have a colonized mindset, and I'm not insulting any fault, you know what I mean? We had education, it was never our education in the first place. So we have to go back to that. And then, even if your parents have the colonized mindset, you can do your own research when you grow up. You can read books. You can educate yourself. And sometimes you can lose friends too because they'll feel like, oh my God, you're weird now. But no, you're not. That's my point. You know what I mean? I listen to everybody have to go straight to the point. So I'm here. I'm a Pan-Africanist, by the way. Thank you.
All right. So we got respond to. I'll say this program, and those who've done this work in job youth employment, there could be a reward. But you know, like my friend said, jobs that were encourage criminalize no education or marginalization rates and discriminating against. It's very hard for them to stick or remain in that job position because of who they are or what they represent in society. So it's like we're saying, well, yeah, we're get a job allows for these youth to be in the job for 2 years while the government pays for their. But after the 2, it's up to that employer who can make the decision. Well, since I'm not getting paid from the government, I don't really need you. Then what? Then we still send our youth back into the job market that doesn't want them if they don't have the qualifications or they're not showing a passion in a certain field that they want. I don't think everybody needs to go to school to be an academic. I'm not saying everybody should send your kids to be a doctor. Quick story, my dad scared the living hell out of me when I was 4 and told me, you're not being a bus driver, you're going to be a doctor. He didn't say it like that. He was like, all right? But you know, I guess maybe he spoke into the universe, and here I am. Needless to say, right? We need to not do what my dad did, but we need to encourage our youth to understand what a career is. Drop the word. That's all I want to say. Anyways, my last question.
I work in education, and what we need to do, we need to celebrate that they can speak more than one language and not discourage them from speaking whatever native tongue they come speaking. And we need to stop telling them that you need to speak English in order to talk to me, being the teacher. They need to see more of us, and I say us as a collective, as in people of color in positions of education as the teacher, not just, as your father would have said, not just as the bus driver, and I have nothing against that. I have nothing against that, but we also do need to be telling, and we need to be telling this to our boys, that they are of doing this stuff. They are capable of going to university and getting that job in science or in math or in social work or whatever it is that they want to put forward. But they are taught in our systemic society that, you know what, you are not an A student as a kid in elementary, then you cannot be an A student in post-secondary. And that is not the truth. And so we need to change that narrative from young to do, as somebody said over here, what is your passion? If you want to, don't just be the bricklayer, be the architect. Be the one that designs it. If you love bricklaying, that's great, but it's got to be your passion.
Move on, thank you. We're going to move on.
I'd just like to ask all of you, where's the village and the homes in it?
Sorry, a little louder.
I can't hear.
I said, where's the village and the homes in it?
Particular examples by which you would say where we could invest when you speak of.
I'm sure a lot of you are.
Because that's what we're talking about. We're trying to find things.
So we're gonna move on because we have to move on. Okay. We gotta move on. Sorry for being interrupted. It was a really good point. We've got to move on because time. Okay. So the next question is, what roles are mothers playing in Black boys? I know we kind of talked about this a little bit indirectly. So I don't think we need to spend too much time. But however, there were some comments that if you want to make now, we can do that. Okay. We're giving 2 minutes for this question. Okay. So the timekeeper says, "Give me 2 minutes." I don't know why, but okay, 2 minutes. All right. I'm not questioning. You know, he knows what he's doing. All right. So who'd like to begin?
Here.
Hey, there you go.
Them and always saying it's okay if you did. You get a free pass all the time. I think different generations. I think younger men that I see right now seem to be more mature than the men of my generation, and then men before that. So there is a shift in how mothers are playing with raising Black men. I think the colonial is there from the people. I think if you're first generation Canadians, we're gonna treat and raise the children different. We're gonna have that Westernized mentality where we are able to tell the young boy, you know, treat the woman right, treat yourself right, know your worth, self-reflect, compared to what our parents did not know or taught us. So I think there is a generational piece in what the roles are in raising Black men.
Yeah. I just want to add, you know, what we represent, where we came from, whatever, and we're trying to speak with certain accent, things like that, right? Where I wanted to say is, how you going to love, for example, people saying like, oh, I'm looking at my mother, I want a woman like my mother. But then it's an illusion because your mother is a symbol. You have no choice but to love her. But when you look at deep down, you have no knowledge who you are. You don't even love her. You change your name to Kunta Kinte to whatever. Your name is not your name. You know what I mean? You don't know who you are. How you gonna know? Because we both don't know each other. You know what I mean? There's a problem that it can't be knowledge yourself. And that's very important. Especially in a Black woman. You have to know who you are, be proud of who you are. And that way, you start loving yourself. You start looking at other people like brothers and sisters. For real, don't just say it. You mean it now. You know what I mean? And it comes that way, your mother, the job be easier now. Because you love yourself, you have that knowledge. The Black woman, then you know what I mean? You guys already have that knowledge yourself, so love comes easy. That's my point. Oh, no, I'm not religious at all.
Okay, so I'm hearing my name. Okay, so again, there's going to be difference of opinions in here. Again, we just got to respect everybody. It's not to put anybody on the right track. So I just want to make sure we understand that. So you're going to hear things that you may not agree with, but it's not my place or anybody else's place in this room to set anybody right. Because right in your way is not right in the other person's way. So let's make sure we understand that going forward, please. Okay? Thank you. Timer's telling me no? Let's move on. Or are we extending? Okay, sorry, one second, timekeeper. Can we extend the time for those who want to stay? If you need to leave, please leave quietly. But if we go past 8:30, just so you know, we'll do like 15 minutes and then we'll gauge again. But 9 o'clock is our cutoff max. Yeah.
And thank you, you were at
Okay. Go ahead.
That's got teased up my entire life for being feminine. I really had to unpack a lot of trauma related to that word. And so, because I had to learn how to disassociate with acting feminine to it causing trauma, or accepting things that what I like to do is what I like to do, regardless if it's feminine or negative. But also connecting that to how that's adding to the women in my life, how they affected me, is that it was almost a double-edged sword in which the women in my life served as protection. They were the main sources of people that I looked up to and talked to and shared. But also I realized in getting closer to the men in my life, my maternal father, grandfather, as an adult, is that it was also, there were conversations that could have happened between women and men in my family to share the time that had a little bit more impact in my life. I don't think that would have had anything to do with my sexuality, but I say that to say in terms of the way mother and fathers in our life, the roles that they share, and how they influence.
Hello, everybody. A gentleman over there introduced himself, and I thought that was a nice idea that we should name is Kamaria. I want to look at the role of mothers, the roles that are playing their raising their Black boys. I am a single parent. I can only speak from my experience, and that is, I feel that the role is very multifaceted. I think that I'm raising my son to explore his options in terms of his passions and his likes and dislikes. I try to give him as many opportunities as possible for activities and both personally, that is what I'm trying to do as a parent, to give my children, both my son and my daughter, as many opportunities as possible to explore the world around them. But I do feel in general, in terms of my female friends, that is also the goal. At least now in this day and age, as Black women, we understand that we can't limit our Black boys. We cannot limit them. And that is coming both from a community perspective in terms of we are a very technological age. Have to give them that opportunity to explore, because we are a global village now. We are not just one small, one confined space. We are a global village. So I think from that perspective, I feel that my sisters who are raising Black boys are trying to also raise their sons in a global village. But from a single parent's perspective, I feel that we also don't want to limit them because they are only seeing us in the home. So I do know that try to give my son an opportunity to get fed elsewhere. That's an only from me. So that is my perspective on how I'm raising my son and my daughter.
So last response.
I'll do this. I'll talk of what women are doing now. I couldn't do that to my mom.
Not to me either.
A woman can do except child and breastfeeding, because I took a process in learning how to do this. So please, mothers, teach your children how to cook, especially the boys. If they don't know how to cook, they fall into the hands of girls who can do the cooking for them, and then treat them around their fingers. But now, what the roles that I would like to see mothers play in the lives of their children: teach them respect. Respect yourself. If you respect yourself, you can respect others. If you don't respect yourself, you can never respect other people. Trust people, because that is the only way you can develop. If you don't trust the next person, you can never build a community. Finally, going back to it again, violence. In my life, I have never laid hands on any woman physically. Not because I was taught by anybody, but because I was brought up in a family where my parents would disagree. If you were very close to them, you think they were just chatting. But then when you listen carefully, you analyze the words. They're engaged in very serious argument. So parents, please, teach your kids how to resolve conflict resolution.
I really appreciated your comments and the earlier comments about coddling. I've seen it where I don't think it's extreme coddling, but the mother sort of undermines the son's relationship with the father, or they downplay it because we're always emphasizing the importance of having the mother and the importance of the mother-son relationship. That a lot of times the women or the mothers don't realize how much they're preventing this, like a surrogate husband to the mother, where he's fulfilling sort of the emotional, maybe economic needs of the mother, that then becomes a tremendous burden to him. So.
Some interesting valid.
The last comment, then we're going to move on. And then we're doing switching up the guard. I'll take a break.
So we kind of, someone earlier mentioned the mother-son relationship being like that first comes unconsciously and has huge impacts on Black boys. And I also think that that trust or that connection that's built also helps, I guess, start to diminish that perception or that narrative that society has about Black boys, Black men, in creating that unsupportive, encouraging, empowered self-confidence where they're able to challenge what society might see in Black boys and Black men, especially now, and having that one solid relationship from birth that supports that there is so much beyond what is perceived in the media or what and who Black men are, that the role of the mother is that first initial, well, can be that first initial positive, and when it's not, when it's unhealthy, or when there are strains in that relationship, many, but I think that role is something that we don't really think about having a long standing.
Okay. I'm sensing a lot of everyone to chime in. What I would encourage everyone is just jot yourself a quick note. We're going to try and save 5 minutes where we're just going to throw everything we can in the box. But right now, I am encouraged to try. Our goal is to try to really get through all the questions. Sorry if you don't mind. Why?
Turn around and tell your boys to make sure that they have a voice and that they are, stand up for themselves and they can't, let everybody walk over them. But there's a lot of other things, like in raising boys, like men are just from Mars. They are really, really wired differently than women are. But little things, going to the bathroom, standing up to pee. I don't do that. I am not good at it. And who is now 60, and he's not going to be happy about this story, but literally, wherever we were somewhere or the other, and he dropped his pants to the floor. So that his some guy turned around and said, "Why did you let him do that?" And I went, "He's peeing. He's supposed to do that." And they went, no, you're not. I would never know that if somebody had said that to me. So yes, there are traits that I do have to turn around and say, yes, you have to stand up for yourself and do it, but there's a lot of stuff that I just can't teach him.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. So from a personal point, I have a young son, and there's things that he gets to see me do. Peeing was one of them. So he spends time with his mom, and he would sit all the time. So then it's CVP, and what are you doing? What is this? You're standing up and you're peeing. So again, with that question, there are things that
can't teach them without creating that masculine fit. What's the question?
Yeah.
Is we can teach them the right language. I grew up with hearing, what is it, wee, and what's that? Like, that's your penis. If someone wants to chew, no, you have to give permission, and the same for the female. And compassion, as we've talked about, kindness, and all of those other social and economical skills, and helping them to create their sense of self, who they are as people, as individuals, and to stand up for themselves, as people have mentioned before.
I will go.
As a single mother, I'm happy with that. So I think sometimes in the Black community, especially the way we treat LGBT, I think that we need to get over this issue of masculine traits, feminine traits. Just let the child be whatever the child wants to be.
Okay, just kind of everyone to it.
Actually, all of us have masculine and feminine traits.
True, we do start as one, right? All of us. I just thought about it. Interesting, an eye-opening as a young father. Some of the things that I get to pass on to him because we've gone and he's.
But demonstrate some masculine traits to be able to teach their boys some behaviors that are just innate because they are a boy. And I maybe the wording could be changed a little bit with the question, but it's circumstantial because in some instances they have to, not always.
Can I throw a challenge at you?
Sure.
Since you mentioned altering a little bit. Would it be too far to say, please don't chew me out, that there are things that only fathers can teach their boys, and that even by replicating it, it won't be the same?
That I think we're all probably thinking now of when the white dad has a black son and realizes that he can't teach his son certain things. So he grabs him and brings him to areas in which he can get black role models. And I thought that was such a moment, and that's what this question sort of reminds me of. Is that yes, there are certain masculine traits that a woman can definitely teach her young boy, but there are certain intangible things that you can never know when they're going to arise, that it's important to maybe have a male role model in that person's life.
Since I'm thinking, my mom would always say, those who can do teach, but I have some hands. I'll come back to you. I have some hands, and then we'll close with you.
Acknowledge that. Sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, that's okay.
So we're going to go till another 15 minutes. So we may or may not get through all the questions, but I think we've touched on. Wait, one more question? Oh, shoot, look at that. One more question. Oh, let me stop talking.
What I was gonna say is that if there's no father or no man there to teach this, and mom is not, where are they gonna get it from? Well, not necessarily, but I know that some people around me that have learned this from the wrong, learned it in a wrong way, in a wrong perception of what being a man is. So, and that causes more problems than anything. So I feel like even if she's not able to, a mom is the best option, because at the end of the day, she will try to teach you the right thing.
I'm just going. Okay, we'll go ahead. I can't remember. We'll go ahead and go back.
And the definition of what being a man is subjective. So what's what you think being a man is not to me.
Same for femininity.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can we have?
Oh, it was a couple one time. And going to what I said here about that being inefficient, we have models. I mean, the brother mentioned, pre-colonial African models. We have models of how you make men. You take boys of a certain age, you take them around older men, and you teach them this is what it means to be a man in this culture. And the sister asked earlier, okay, so what can we do now? I've been in Ottawa for 6 months. I just moved here from the States. And one thing I noticed about Ottawa, this is an association for everybody. It's a Jamaican association. All you do, it's very simple. Each one of those associations is made up of men and women.
Yeah.
The men in those associations come together, they say, this is what we believe a man should be. You take all the boys, the sons of those men, 12 and up, 12 to 16 or whatever, and for a year, you systematically teach them what it means to be a man for that association. Once we do it on that level, then those associations can get together and trade notes. This is what we decided. Then you can get a whole all African Ottawa understanding of manhood. And you can even make it like a combat. Each one of those associations, have a little totem. This is the leopard association. And the boys that are 12 and 16, they come out at the rest of the community. And they know what it means to be a man because the men in those associations have told them this is what it means. Take them out to the woods.
Rites of passage. Absolutely. I'd just like to remind, before we go into the last question, if ever you have to leave, please, it would help us a lot. Do not forget your evaluation. That's going to be a great way for us to evaluate how to move forward, and also for the study. Just in closing with that question, one of the things is I didn't grow up in the States, I grew up in Africa, but a lot of my, when I was in the States, a lot of my teammates and the black men around me told me that it it was where one of my best friends would say, that's where he learned how to kick game. You know, it's like, that's where he learned everything there is about what becoming a black man is, like boy to manhood. Can I jump to the next question and then I'll come back? Is that okay? The final question, drum roll. Ooh, this is a good one. So gender relations, what role do others play in the partner choice of black young men? Let's try and unpack this in 7 minutes. Absolutely. Young brother with a wave, what's up?
Me and this guy, we always talk about this topic.
Okay.
Because me, as I'm getting to that age of looking for a female or whatnot, I know I look young, but I'm almost 20, so. So I feel like, as he always says to me, that I have a very high expectation for women. He even told me once, like, I'll never find a wife. He told me that your expectations are too high. I mean that because I see my mother, I see my sisters, I see my aunts. They've pedestaled to a very high standard. So when I see women, I equate them to my mom, like, in a sense. Even though I don't know, someone said that your mother is like a symbol and no one will match that.
Yep.
I understand that, but at the same time, I can't help but see my mom. And regardless of whether your parents are in your life or not, your first model of a man or a woman is your dad or mom. Well, like, when you're a kid, you see what your dad does, you see if they're in your life, you see what they do, and that's what you think is right. That's why, like, when people have kids, especially like my older cousins and whatnot, when their kids are young, I tell them to speak to them properly, because the kids, they remember that. So if you beat your kid or scream at your kid, then screaming is not going to do anything to them, because that's all they hear. Like, so it's going to be ineffective, that screaming and whatnot. So I believe that as parents, act more than you talk. Because I see what you're doing. I see how you're treating my mom. But then if you treat my mom poorly, but then you tell me to respect women, that's contradictory. I don't learn from talking. I was taught that, especially like being a man, like the model of a man is subjective, but I was taught that men do more than they talk. That you should, like, you know, like walk the walk, don't talk the talk. You know what I mean? So action is like what's needed right now. Like, we can come here all talk. It's nice. It's good to start a conversation, but we should act. Because I've been to so many seminars, so many black seminars. People talk, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, but there's no action. So that's what's needed.
I was all into what he's saying. I'm like, wow. Just almost I don't know how much the mothers, as what we do and how we play in the partner choice, and what it comes down to is up to our boys to pick their partners, whatever traits that they see. Now, I come from a mixed household. My mom's white, my dad's black. I have always had my kid's father, I shouldn't say always, but my kid's father are black, but my brother's choices are all white men. So is it, do they have that choice? Is it because my mom's white? They'll tell you no, but they have they have, what they would say is it doesn't matter. It's who they choose because they like that person, not because of color, not because of whatever, but they chose that person because they chose that person.
Okay, thank you very much. I saw these two hands. Was there another one prior? Sorry. Okay, I guess it's you and then.
Mother, expecting that my mother was supposed to be the one to make them propose to them, or that my mother's supposed to be the one to set them right. And my mom's like, look, he's a grown-ass man, sorry for my language, if he wants to behave this way, I can't do anything about it. And you picking up the phone and calling me right now is not going to make him decide that you are going to be his partner in his life. So please come off my phone and you hang up.
Wow. Okay. So I'll ask this because I have a close friend of mine that's struggling, just to extrapolate on the question, if I may. And he often tells me that his inability to commit as a 30-plus-year-old grown man, he finds, he's going through therapy for this, but he finds stems from the fact that his mom has had a plethora of different lovers ever since he could remember. And so it stems, that's where it stems from his inability to lock it down, because he's seen, so he hasn't seen stability. So would that be an example if you see a character, as a young wise brother said, see a certain character, there's a strong tendency to replicate it unconsciously, maybe?
Maybe his inability is the fact that his father wasn't there to teach him how to.
Hey, I'm with you. You got more years in this parenting game than I do. So.
A lot of it comes back to the relationship again, mother and son. And the example of the relationship that he has seen his mother have both with his father or with other partners, and then indirectly he will replicate a lot of that with the women that come into his life. So he is taught often, I'm not saying that it's the end all be all, but if he's taught that he cannot respect his mother for whatever reason, he's not going to respect any partners in his life until he's taught that he's supposed to be respected.
I'll go there and then we'll close off with. Oh, like came.
So how many responses?
We got 4 left.
4?
Yeah.
Can I answer really quickly?
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, that's it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
here we go.
Then I want
Yeah, brother, it's been passed. The mantle's been passed.
The thing with me is that funny thing, but I know that like at the end of the day, like it's a thing that always change. Like I'm young, I'm very long time. So like I know that my preference women will shift.
It will mature.
Yeah, it will mature basically. That's like this stubbornness of like don't judge me for this, but I'm like, yo, yeah, she's in a good cook. I want her. I want good food.
Hey.
And like so many, and I know that those things will probably change. But like even if I find a girl interesting or I like her, like I'll go to my old sister and be like, yo, you know this girl?
So the approval has to come from mom,
like
sisters.
I feel like I could never marry a girl who can't have a good relationship with my mother, who can't like be on the phone with my mom, like they go out to do things. It's just that I think that's just something that I want my mother sisters to be very in love with the person that I'm in love with.
No. Hey, all the single ladies. Hey, I know Katie. I can pass the number.
I totally agree with. We have all association. We have older men of different generations to be active and present in the lives of our young Black men as a collective. Dominoes, party, banquets and things. Okay, fine. But there's other ways you can also use your time for the good of the community. The young man there about your friend saying you'll never find anybody. Do not ever standard ever. Ever. The woman who appreciates your high standards and who corresponds to who you are as a person, as a man, whatever, she will show up when she's supposed to. Maybe your mother has somebody and you don't know. Just like I'm done. Last thing, it can go both ways. Either you find somebody who is so totally like your mother, selfless, very motherly, good with family and kids, etc., like my brother did. In fact, since my mother could not be in North America to go check her out, I did go to Minnesota and stay with them for 5 days to go check her out, to make sure I could check everything and my mother would be okay with.
And the power of the mother to do that from afar.
I have power of attorney. And so it worked out. And also be the other way, where the mother was completely in their home, what they left back there.
We have one and then you get to close.
Well, in my culture, we have a saying that when the mother goat is doing grass, is chewing grass, the children look at the mother goat, look at her mouth, and realize that grass. What I have noticed in my own experience, I turned 68 on the 1st of May this year. So I'm giving just to link up with what we need to organize initiation ceremonies for coming of age. In my society, if you don't go through that ceremony, you're not a man, you're not a woman. Then coming to the choice of a wife, our mothers, they operate differently. Some of them are very smooth operators. They don't tell you directly, what you should do, but their body language, the way they look at your girlfriend, the unguarded, the comments they make in the unguarded. Very subtle comments. The boys pick it up and they just know that, this girl, she's nice, beautiful, good looking, nice manners, but mommy doesn't approve of this. My sisters don't like her. So generally in my society, what most girls do, they come in through the back door. They get into the mother's favors, first of all. Then the sisters, before they come to me.
A lot of it is women have father issues. The father's not present, or it's not present either, being there or active in their education. It does play a certain mentality or role in the young girl's life, because then the choice of men that she's going to go after, it's either going to be an absentee partner or a person that is present. So I think that relationship between the young girl and the father is very important, because then they're the ones who are going to bear the children and then teach what they've learned or the lack of learning. And so I think that plays a lot of big role in what men are going to be part of in their life and in their boy's life. And then if we are always picking the wrong man, well, guess what? The boy is always going to try to replicate what they've seen all their lives, but it has to come from inside the mom first, because the mapping of the children is done with it inside. So if the mother has mentality issues, well, she's mapping that mentality issues into the children's mind. And when they come out in the world, well, that's all they know, anxiety, depression. It's all related to how the mother bear the children. So it has to come from inside first. And it has to be with the young girls on how they are grown up, how they are taught by both the father and the mother, and how both models in their lives are going to shape the next generation, because we are the bearers of the children. We map that characteristic output into the children's mind.
It's dope.
We partly map.
Oh.
We partly map. Yeah. We do all the oven baking and all that, but I tell my own children, when everything's in front of you, you chose your eye color, your hair color, your this. You chose it. I just gave you what was there, and we got to work with what we got to work with. So whether depression comes from dad's side or from mom's side, or curly hair, straight hair, whatever, we only, as human beings, we only map the part it takes to.
Thank you. So, surprise, the last comment was a man right here. All right? People want to hear this anyways. We'll give it to them. I know it's the last comment, but it's got to be quick. Okay?
I just want to end it off on, kind of negative, because I'm kind of a negative person. In a sense, we got to do better in one sense. Because I feel like this room is surprisingly more, they're more open-minded than the rooms that we've been in before. We come together when something bad happens, especially in our community. I'm not gonna shame our community, so I'm not gonna say the name. But if you know how Africans look, you know where I'm from. You know, so I'm not since it's live. I'm not gonna. I don't want people to send me that. Okay. So I feel like we come together when either one of our young men die, gets killed, something bad happens, someone goes to jail. We make organizations. Like he said, there's 120 organizations in Ottawa. Especially my community, there's another 120. Wow. It's like, you think there's 100, there's 1,000. You'll get to it. But I feel like there's one, I'll tell you like a little story. Once, like somebody died, and then the whole coming together happened. We came together, there was a good, let's say 200 parents in the room. My parents were even in the room. His parents were in the room. And then we were only there to videotape. They told us to come because we have cameras. They said, come videotape, like you guys are videotaping now. The youngest person in that room was 40 plus. They want to help the youth, but they're not talking to them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like me trying to diagnose you without me knowing what's actually wrong with you. They're trying to understand us, but they're not listening. I always tell my mom this, there's a difference between listening and hearing, right? So you can hear what I'm saying, but if you're not listening, it's not happening. My dad thinks like me in a sense. He stood up because they told him to stand up because a lot of people like know my dad, so in my community, so they told him to stand up. And then he told them, he was like, there's 120 organizations, there's this organization, Mother's this organization, there's a lot of organizations. Everyone wants to be official, but no one wants to do the job.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I kid you not, I was not in the room. We're too busy getting ice caps for ourselves. So, but apparently my dad left the room mad because they shunned him. They told him be quiet. They literally took the mic from him and told him walk out because he spoke the truth. So I feel like I told my mom the other day, why, especially our community, why is there the black community? Why is there so much problem in the black community? Why not everywhere else? Because when I was a kid, I used to get in so many fights. My dad, and I always used to tell my dad, obviously, I never did anything. My dad sat me down once, he's like, why you? Out of all the other kids, why is the problem coming to you? That's actually a good question. Because whatever you put out into the world, you get. Right? So,
okay.
So I feel like there should be more talking to the youth. Yeah. We should, like, cause there's people like me that actually want, but then I was only there to videotape that day. I was not allowed to talk. If I were to stand up there, they would have said, sit down, little kid. You don't know nothing. Small boy, you don't know nothing. There's people with perspective on sorry. I'm very respectful. I kind of listen, but I'm talking about like the majority of you. What do you know? You're old guy. You don't know nothing about dabbing and stuff. You don't know nothing about internet. You don't know nothing about Twitter, Instagram.
I'll see you tomorrow night then over at Gene Pickett. Tomorrow night,
initiating positive change. We want to hear some youth, talk to some youth, talk with some youth.
Is we were open-minded enough to have these conversations. We were open-minded enough to share where we were vulnerable, we created solidarity, but it doesn't mean you start here. I went to the cotillion that Suzanne put on, it was an amazing event, and I kid you not, there was an opportunity for the people in the audience to connect with the youth who just did the rites of passage. And one of the things I said is you encourage it to shake a youth's hand. If you're walking home, if you're passing a community center, I do it. I kid you not. Sometimes I act like a fool. I don't mind if I act like a fool because you know what? If I can be like, hey, I connect with these guys, then that's all I needed. Even if it was like a couple of words. Hey, what's going on with Lily Uzi Vert? I don't know how it's going on with Lily Uzi Vert. I don't know if I said that right? But the point is, right? What happens is I'm like, oh, you don't know the rap beat, this is like this, and I'm just like, What I'm trying to make is connect. Connect. We haven't made it if we're leaving people behind. If I get my PhD talk, my community stuff, I haven't made it. I go to work community, failed. And I say it with such emphasis because I see it too often. There's, hey, I got my degree. Hey,
Come together when somebody starts a business.
Yeah.
Come together when somebody does something incredible, and it might be just have a basketball camp, whatever it is. But the community can also come together for those celebrations, and you can show the youth that nothing about us without us. That's your slogan. So that's it.
First of all, you guys are amazing. This way beyond what I thought it was going to turn out like. Thank you for unpacking it all. We laughed. I got to reflect on some dope stuff. I questioned myself a lot. And I got to just learn so much. So now I'm doing some research. My father recently has been, he always reminds me that alone, you'll go so much faster. Alone, you'll graduate undergrad. Some people are able to finish it at 18, 19. You'll get your master's, you'll get your PhD. You'll have that great job, 6 figures. You'll be going to your amazing 6-bedroom house in the suburbs. It'll be great. But then you're still alone. You'll have your little cocoon, your nucleus, your wife, your children, maybe a couple friends, but you'll still be alone. And I think that's the point that our brother Warren is trying to hammer down. When you're
acknowledge that, and for those, if you still want to contribute $2, $3, it doesn't matter. It's still going to help, and we're going to provide barbers, the barbershop specifically in Montreal. The money is so black, you get the haircut, and any extra money between now and we'll leave it open till Sunday night. So this is Toronto, and then a barbershop in Toronto and a barbershop here. We'll get some funds to young black men here. Other than that, I appreciate you. I love you guys. Thank you for coming out. Have a good night.